beat our estimates in terms of what we said they were going to be doing. And most of our businesses are growing in double digits. In fact, some of our business, like Big Ink, where we're fighting against Big Ink, that's where we're challenging the model on inkjet printers. You got to challenge a model that says you can go into the store and grab a printer off the shelf for almost next to free, but the inkjet cartridges are locked up behind the counter. There's something sinister in that. And we're out there fighting Big Ink. Big Ink made $9 billion last year alone on inkjet cartridges. $9 billion in profits. It's amazing. So some of our business, like our inkjet business, has grown 100%. So it's a phenomenal business, and we've only been in that business for 3 years. Now, of all of our product categories, we have 13 that we compete in. 13 products that drive 80% of our total revenue. 80%. All 13 are number 1, number 2, or number 3 in the marketplace. And if they're not number 1, number 2, or number 3, we move them out. We move them out quickly. That's we put them through a quick filter. If we can't meet that, we can't meet number, we obviously want to go for number 1, but if we can't meet the top 3, we move them very quickly. We call those transform businesses or transform products, and we transform them out of there as quick as possible. Doesn't mean we don't like them. We still like them. We're just going to miss them, okay? Half of the products that are on this list did not exist 2 years ago. So this is a fundamental shift in a business and probably one that you'll never see. In fact, Financial Times calls it the biggest turnaround in business history. And it's been fun. Now, why has it been good for us and why have we been able to do it? Because we got back to what I call our soul and our science of imaging. We're really good at making stuff. We make it from dirt. We have since the beginning of our company in 1880 when George Eastman founded it. We grew our own cattle. We slaughter the cattle. We take the bones, melt them down, make it into gelatin so that we could squeeze it through these little tubes and throw it down and layer 21 layers till we came up with that thin little layer of film, and we used to do it in the dark. Okay? We're at the crux of imaging science and material science. That's what we do. And so, for instance, when we made the leap to inkjet, it wasn't that tough. We said, okay, what happens if we put ink in those things? And we squirted that out. And we turned on the lights. And that's how we started with inkjet printers, which I'll talk about and how it's been big business for us. And I think, by the way, and I write about this in my book, The Mirror Test, when businesses get back to their core, that's when they excel. When businesses get back to the core of who they are or who they want to be, that's when businesses excel. Now, every picture that you take, even with somebody else's camera, probably has Kodak technology in it. Now, I will tell you, though, if you're using a Canon or a Nikon or Fuji camera, make you look fat. The Kodak cameras make you look a lot thinner. Come on, folks, this is not easy getting up here and doing this. I'm not a morning person, and I got up to do this, and I've only had one Diet Mountain Dew, so I'm way behind in my caffeine. So you got to stay with me, or we're not going to make this happen. So for us, it's about brand transformation. What's a brand? Brand's nothing but a promise delivered. So we had to change our promise on what we were delivering back to the customer to refresh it. Because we were really good at telling you to go and stock up on film during the holidays. And that was most of our advertising, with those fun, kind of warm, fuzzy, make you cry kind of commercials. Now we're bringing some of that back, without a doubt. In fact, I just got criticized by one of the ad newsletters that we're bringing back an old concept. Well, hell, yeah. Because it works. It works, and it works effectively, and it works for the audience that we want to try to target, and I'll talk about that. So we wanted to bring some of the old stuff into the new stuff, without question. Why? Because we do have the brand. That's the most trusted brand in the world. It's, for bar none, you can look at every brand statistic you want in the world. Kodak is way over here when everybody else is over here. Now, it doesn't mean we look like we're the coolest brand, because that's Apple and a couple of others. I mean, it's tough to be cool when you're dressing like Elmer Fudd, and that's what we were doing for a long while. Okay, we were your father's or your mother's Kodak, and to do that, you got to change. I mean, if you're going to come out with new products, you might want to come out with some really sleek-looking, nice-looking products like the ZI-8. Now, you might not want to call them the ZI-8, which we did, because that name sucks, okay? But, and I'll talk about that, but it looks good and it's cool. And we're outselling the F brand by about 10 to 1. Now, they just happen to have a really cool name. I give them credit for that. But from a technology perspective, we blow them away. It's 1080p, 725 megapixel still. Image stabilization, so when you're holding it out there and shaking, it's giving you a good video. But it has something else. It has a mic jack in this one. And the next one I'll show you, and I'll talk a little bit more, is waterproof. Okay? A little different. Now, think about it in terms of what we wanted to do. And you can imagine, you know, when I first stepped in the job, man, I was so excited. I showed like a week early. I went from South Dakota to Rochester. Now, you know, Rochester, it's so freaking cold there, okay, that we got nothing better to do but sit inside and invent stuff. I mean, I'm telling you, that's what we do all the time. And I was excited to go, and I was on the plane. I'm talking next to this 25-year-old gal, you know, trying to get her in a conversation because I want to tell her what I do because I'm the chief marketing officer and I want to brag about it. And so we get in this conversation. She's going on and on, talking about herself, blah, 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 like I want to hear that, you know. And finally, she takes a break and says, well, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm the chief marketing officer for Eastman Kodak. And she says, who's that? So I knew we had a pretty big job, so we were thinking, okay, well, if we're going to start having cool products, we can't dress like Elmer Fudd, so we're going to have to mix it up and change it. So one of the things we started was some brand transformation in terms of the look and feel. We went to what I call the black fade language. That is to take the products, make them edgier, cutter, put a little bit more cuts, a little bit more angles, not only in the products, but also in the packaging. In fact, let's differentiate our packaging. Let's take the cheaper products and put them in the yellow and white, and let's go upscale with black and trims in yellow, as you see more on the website. And that was our website in the upper left-hand corner a year ago. It's nice. It's got the picture of the day up there. Well, there's Donald Trump talking about pricing stinks, but it looks like a yard sale. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. That doesn't look like a company that wants to charge a lot for its products or get more for its products. That looks like a product that's just shouting, come and buy me, remind you. I want to remind you. And so what we said was, look, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, why don't we go to a picture? Why don't we go to an image? In fact, our blog is called 1,000 Words. And then for the technical side of which we do like, because we like to write about the science, the imaging inside of our products, we have our technical community do a blog as well. And that's called 1,000 Nerds. Okay? True story. So I went to the White House photographer 5 days before the event, and I said, give me 5 photographs. 5 photographs a day before you release them to anybody else. Let us have them. Let us put them up on the site. We drove 117 million people a day to our website. Folks, we didn't have 117 million people come to our website in a year prior to this. Then we put a little button on every one of these that you can click on right there, and it tells you, from the photographer's own words, why he or she chose that photograph. During the Oscars, we take the best pictures, and we take one scene from each of the best pictures, and we rotate those. And we do the same thing, and the cinematographer comments on why he or she chose that one scene to represent that movie and what was behind that scene. Again, making it much more iconic, making it much more edgier in terms of the kinds of things that we wanted to do. Our site traffic is up. We syndicate these photographs now, where they're appearing in lots of newspapers. I call it OPM, other people's money, and we're utilizing it very effectively.